Hey, so I want to do something different right now. I am going to give you a couple of examples that you can use, or a couple of tips that you can use when you're feeling depressed or anxious. As you all notice, I get a little depressed sometimes, and definitely I do get anxious. Depression has to do with thinking about the past, anxiety has to do with thinking about the future. Did you notice the common denominator there? Thinking. The fact that we're in our heads, all the energy is up in the brain, and it's just, you can see the monkeys, turning those wheels. It's too much, right? So what we need to do is get that energy back down to the body, get it to do stuff. A lot of it can, a lot of that can be fixed with exercise. Just, you all know that I was a fitness trainer, and I'm also a martial artist, so that whole physical thing, it's comes very natural to me. But also what I've noticed is that I could have been really depressed, and I would just, I would, as depressed as I was, because you feel like there's no energy, right? Because first of all, when there's a lot of thinking, there's no breathing. You're not breathing, so you're not inhaling the life force. God is everywhere. So if you're not inhaling, you're not inhaling that God particle. So therefore, you're gonna feel like crap. This is the difference between that, again, that and the lack of oxygen. Feeling depressed or feeling anxious, but mostly depressed, to the runner's high, when you have been inhaling a whole bunch of oxygen, the God particle, and that you feel amazing. But I I could, I could tell you there have been a multitude of times when I just felt so badly, and I would go out of my garage and put on the gloves and just start. And then pretty soon, I start feeling really good. And then pretty soon, I'm doing good. And now, 5 minutes, and I'm completely clicked on. And now I'm moving. All that energy went from my head down to my body. And now I'm not even feeling depressed. I'm feeling great now because I also been inhaling that God particle. So it just changes your mood. Just you got to give it a little bit of time to get going, but it's 5 minutes. In 5 minutes, you start feeling amazing. Okay, it's the same thing when you go for a walk. Same idea. Instead of having all the energy up here in your head with all those thoughts of, all those sad thoughts, you bring it down to your body and you go on a walk. Clears your head. And in fact, brings a lot of ideas too. Because I said that all that crisscrossing, it reps up energy or something. That's something I heard somewhere. I'm not clear on that, but it clears your head and brings up ideas as well, good ideas. Well, once your head is clear, you can connect. You know what I mean? So, and another thing that I never told anybody, I made some comments, but I never told anybody. Listen to Rocky songs. Listen to Rocky songs, especially if you like to hit the bag, the boxing bag, or you're working out. There is nothing more uplifting than Rocky songs. Or, there's some mixes on YouTube of this one in particular called 80s mix, and it's just literally, I don't know if it's called 80s mix, but it's basically all of the songs from all these 80s movies, and the Karate Kid is there, and you're the best around. That song was actually was written to be in Rocky 3, but I think Sylvester Stallone didn't like it and just said no, never mind. So they used it for Karate Kid. So the point is that song was meant to pump you up, and so anyway, listening to Rocky songs. And again, you don't have it all. You don't have to have it all loud, just in case you don't want to be embarrassed. Like, hey, you listening to Rocky songs. Everybody likes Rocky songs, but they won't say it. But the point here is that you can have it in your earphones. You can go to the gym. You can be, nowadays, there's gyms with punching bags, and there's several punching bags. You can be there in your own little world, fighting Drago in your mind, and you're having a great old time, and you're completely pumped. And I'm telling you, when you're pumped, you can go on forever. It's somehow you find extra strength, extra oomph, extra speed, extra wind, extra hard when you're listening to Rocky songs and you're working out. Do that, and I promise you that, in fact, I feel like doing it right now, but I have to finish this video. It just gets you pumped, and that depression, bye-bye. It's no longer there. You feel like, oh my God, it's like night and day. Okay? Obviously, I mentioned meditating, again, it's like night and day, but sometimes you're like, no, I just been laying around all day. I mean, I can't sit down and meditate, It's your body, it's your intuition too, telling you, let's move around. Okay? So, the exercising triggers all the intake of oxygen, which is going to make you feel amazing. Now, anxiety is on the opposite end. It's when you're intaking too much of it. And it's not that you're taking too much oxygen, it's you're doing too much breathing. But the fact that the problem is that you're doing a lot of fast breathing, but very shallow breathing, which is just goes from here to here, to here, to here, to here. And we want the oxygen to travel all the way down to your lower body, So when you're running, when you're doing a jogging, or you're running, or you're on the treadmill, or you're even working out your legs, doing some squats or whatever, the whole point is to get that blood supply, that oxygenation to go back down to your lower body instead of being up here in your head. So again, with the anxiety, it's shallow breathing and it's fast breathing, and it puts a lot of tension on your neck because of all the shallow breathing. So your neck ends up feeling the consequences, and your jaw gets completely tense. You're like, oh, everything hurts, again because of that shallow breathing. So what I like to do in that instance is because of the rapidity of the thoughts. See, the whole point is to get you to stop thinking so much, okay? And when you're anxious, it's just too much going on. And I found that out the hard way, obviously, and this is why I'm telling you, so you don't end up doing the same thing. Listening to talk radio, listening to any kind of talk will trigger a whole bunch of images in your mind. So therefore, the rapidity of those thoughts will keep increasing. Especially if you did what I did, which is, I don't recommend it. It's like to listen to political talks. Forget about it. I spent about 9 years doing that, and I'm embarrassed to admit it, but I have to tell you, because this way you don't do the same thing. 9 years on political talks. They just get me pissed off and get me all, whenever you hear about the state of the world, that's not going to bring you peace of mind, right? But again, it's just going to trigger all those thoughts. So your anxiety is going to get worse. You know what I've noticed? Is that as I had all those videos on cue, of people talking, I also happened to get some Beatles tunes in it. I love the Beatles. And whenever I see any of them on my YouTube feed, I'm like, ooh, click on that. Even though I've heard the songs a million times, but this is what I noticed. I was getting ready just a couple of days ago, must have been yesterday, and I was feeling really, really anxious because I was listening to people talk, and it was just kept triggering all these thoughts and feelings, and I could feel myself getting anxious. And then a Beatles tune came on, and I was happy. All of a sudden, I was happy again. You know why the Beatles are so popular and were so popular and still remain popular? Because their music straight up makes you happy. Do you think about the song? It'll make you happy. Why? Because maybe of the first time that you heard it. But essentially, this is, I think, the reason why the Beatles made it so big, and nobody can replicate that fame and that that attraction, that pull that they have on people. Is their music. Their music straight up makes you happy. They have something in, and that music is not only bouncy. It's the lyrics. Is their personalities, coming out from the records, from the songs. They you just capture it. They put a lot of themselves in these songs. But what's more important is that they get you happy. So even if it's one of the sad songs that they have, the energy transfers to you, and once it starts again, you'll feel it. You'll feel how, like that, it changes your mood. So try that for size and see how they fit on you. I hope they help. Take it easy, lemon squeezy. Oh, and think about it and feel about it.